This is going to be a video on the Banshee Belay, specifically a Banshee Belay with a separate sling, so we're not going to be using the rope. Banshee Belay just being a belay at a bolted anchor that you're building with the explicit acknowledgement of not having equalized it, so we're not equalizing the load perfectly between these two pieces. We're putting it all on this one, and then this one over here is going to be a backup. This can be done a lot of different ways. We're just going to cover this one today. So the materials used are just, there we go. So we've got a sling with a bowline on a bight tied on it. The bar tack here is near the bowline on a bight because we're going to be working with this section, so we don't want the bar tack in any of our knots. And it's got a couple different carabiners on it, right? So it's got this little offset D, and then a large HMS. This is going to be my clove hitch, so this is how I'm going to connect myself to the bowline on a bight master loop. This is how I'm going to connect the whole thing to the anchor, connect myself to the belay, and then this is obviously just the belay setup itself. This one connects the device to the anchor, and this one connects the rope to the device. I carry it by wrapping it around my shoulders with the anchor carabiner clipped to the other side of the sling, right? So just like that. Why would you use a Banshee Belay? So they're much faster. Assuming you have two really good bolts, like I trust both these bolts a lot, specifically this one, because I'm going to be putting my weight and my partner's weight on it, but that means I don't have to worry about equalizing anything, and this is already pre-made, right? So all my carabiners are already clipped here, so I don't have to have separate cord and clip all these things together. I have these carabiners that are of different shapes and sizes and colors so that I can identify exactly what's what. And they're useful for, say, if you want to save time on a belay, because if you have 6 pitches of not even sport, but if you have bolted belays on like a trad route, which is very, 6 pitches is very real, and you're spending 10 minutes too long at each belay, that's an hour wasted. And if there's 12 pitches, then it's 2 hours. And there's something to be said about like having fun and taking it slow and looking at all the sights and discussing each pitch, but this is a really good way of speeding things up. So what we're assuming here, specifically with this pitch, is that, so I'm leading, I am getting to the belay, and then I realize, or I already knew this beforehand, because you want to check the top of the route you're climbing, that the route goes off right? So I'm leading, we're doing swing leads, I come to the belay, I'm going to pull my partner up, and then he's going to go off and right. So I get to the anchor, I'm going to clip my anchor bolt, and now I can go ahead and this carabiner here can take my clove hitch, like so. Now I'm going to connect this other section of the sling to this bolt. I'm going to do it with a quick draw for a couple of reasons. So this quick draw is going to act as the redundancy mainly to this system, so just in case this bolt fails, and it's going to act as a means of redirecting the rope so that when I'm pulling the slack out between me and my follower, it's just a more comfortable process, and it's going to act as the Jesus piece, which all of this, if this is all happening too fast, go look at the other video on this page that goes, it's a step-by-step, in-depth, multi-pitch process video. So I'm going to connect it to the other bolt, but before I do, I'm going to pull the sling out, see about where the other bolt is, pop a clove hitch in there, and then attach my quick draw to that. Instead of just leaving this dangling out there, I'm going to clip it back to the quick draw, so now everything's nice and compact. Clip that there, and I can call off belay. So I can let my partner know that they can take the belay device off the rope. I'm secured. I didn't call off belay when I was just on this one bolt because I need to have the redundancy there. That's just me personally. So now I'm at the belay. I've got my clove hitch here. If you have a redundant connection, like if you want to tie an overhand further down the rope, or if you have like a personal anchor, like a sling, you can attach it to something, but I'm just on the clove hitch for now. So I call off belay, they holler up belay off. Now I'm going to start taking out all the slack. Clipping it to this quick draw over here makes it a little more pleasant, because pulling down and away from me is preferable to stooping over and trying to pull up. So pull this all down and away from me. My partner in this case is represented by the blue twist lock carabiner, and should be along shortly. Normally there wouldn't be this much slack because you've climbed so far, but that's the disadvantage of doing this in your house. Alright, so now my partner hollers up, that's me, or tension, or whatever your commands are, but I use that's me. And now I can feel that all the slack has left the rope. So my partner knows that I've got this Banshee rig set up, so they know that as soon as they holler up, that's me, within a couple of seconds they're going to be on belay. So even if they can't hear me, this is where that thorough communication comes in handy. So I feel the rope go tight because I'm now just pulling directly on them, and they holler up, that's me. So I remove their rope and put them on the belay device like normal. So clip that carabiner to it, lock that one, lock the connecting carabiner, and then check that my clove hitch and then the anchor carabiner are locked. They are, and I'm going to check that the belay device blocks. It does. Climb a strand on top, and I'm going to belay them up. So then I say, alright, belay on, climb when ready, and they say climbing, and then they climb up, and now, boom. Now they're at the belay with me. They're at the anchor, right? So here's the climber. Here's where they're tied in. Comes through the belay device, down to a big rope pile, up to my clove hitch, and then that's where I'm secured. So should be pretty straightforward. Now, I'm not going to use a separate device. Like I'm not going to put a gree on the rope down here and belay them up off of that, because I already have this one attached to the rope. And if I'm going quick, I probably didn't bring another gree or anything else, because you want to save on weight. So I'm gonna, the temptation might be, you're not going to do this, but the temptation might be to unclip the belay device like that, and then clip this one to your belay loop, with the obvious end goal being having your climber on belay now. So like now I can belay them up from the bottom like normal, right? The danger that you probably saw is that if I, in between transitioning them from the anchor to myself, so I've got them right there, they're still, everything's blocking. If I drop the device, it can go zipping down the rope or whatever, but the main concern is that if they fall, they're not connected to anything, right? So they're going to fall the whole 60 meters until they hit my clove hitch, which that they might be dead long before they hit this clove hitch. But the priority is just to save time while ensuring that no one dies, if it can be avoided, right? So before you even unlock these carabiners, it's a good idea to, there's the climber strand and the brake strand, run your hands way down the brake strand and just get something like an overhand on a bite. You can collect that to yourself with a locker or a non-locker. This is, the odds that this will ever be weighted are very, very low. But they're not zero, so that's why we choose to employ this backup. Now, when I'm removing this device, if they do fall, right, it's still gonna be like a pretty ugly fall, because they're not connected to anything and they're just connected to me, right? So here's the climber, and their rope is going up through the device and then down to this overhand on a bite, which is attached to my belay loop. So they're gonna fall, and it's all going to come crashing down on my belay loop. It's gonna pull me down, and then my weight's going to come onto the clove hitch and then onto this bolt. Not ideal, but again, we're on this nice big ledge, so the odds of that happening are so low that I'm willing to take the chance, but not so low that I'm willing to just completely take out the backup. So I have the backup here, and even though it's not, like if something does go wrong, this is going to be kind of unfortunate, it's way better than the alternative, right? So before you unclip them from the device, you tie that overhand back up. Now I can unclip the device, clip it to my belay loop, lock it, give them just enough slack that they can clip their redirect. They're in the Jesus piece quick draw now. Now, while keeping my hand on the brake rope, I can remove them from that overhand, and I can untie the overhand. And now we're back at just like a normal belay, right? So I just pay them out slack, and they keep climbing. They climb on through up to the next pitch, right? So they started at the ground, they climbed to the bolts of pitch 1, and now they ended up at the bolts of pitch 2. So they've climbed all of the second pitch, and then they say off belay. So I take the belay device off and say belay's off. Now I can just put this right back on the Banshee Belay rig. I can just put this right back on that setup. I'm going to take it with me. So put that right back on there, and get ready for him to start pulling all the slack out. You know, reorganize all your stuff, because he still has to pull all the slack between you two out. So take a drink of water, be ready. You know, don't make it his problem that you're not ready. So he pulls out all the slack, and eventually it would look like this, right? So like that. As soon as it comes tight, I can yell as per usual, that's me, and then he'll say, all right, the belay's on, climb when ready, and then I say, good to go. You know, whatever your specific commands are, that's with you, but you want to be sure that they're consistent, because climbing is dangerous. I feel like it should be obvious that they need to be consistent. So I'm going to leave this right here, but you can imagine that it's being continuously pulled up. And now I can start breaking everything down. I can take out the directional, I can remove the quick draw Jesus piece, unclip it from the sling, and now I can unclip my clove hitch. Don't need that anymore because I'm on belay, as we already know. And then I can finally remove the connecting carabiner from the bolt. Just going to re-rack this over my shoulder. The obvious benefit here just being that this was faster than the average cordelette or quad or whatever else. This obviously has been on a 13-minute video now, but the ideal situation is as follows. You know, arrive at belay, clip rig to first bolt, back it up on the clove hitch on the quick draw, tie clove hitch, you know, lock the gates, off belay, pull up all the slack, put them on belay. Belay's on, climb when ready. They climb up, they just climb straight through you, right? Like they don't need to do anything other than just sit there, wait for you to tie that overhand back up, clip it to yourself, move the belay device from the master point or master loop bowline to your belay loop, unclip that overhand back up, and then you can just belay in like normal. It's a really great way of saving time. There are other really good ways of saving time on multi-pitch as well. I can't recommend multipitchclimbing.com. I cannot recommend it enough. You can look up VDiff, the Mountain Project forums, as always. Petzl has some really good multi-pitch stuff. I'm gonna make a video later about the flying changeover, which is probably just the fastest way to deal with belay changeovers, or with your partner passing through you to the next pitch. But this specifically video, this has been about a pre-rigged Banshee Belay on a sling with carabiners already clipped to it. And that's it. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.